not having Google Analytics would be like blindly not looking at your odometer. So you have no idea when your next oil change is. You have no idea if you should be changing your brakes. You have no idea of many other things, changing your transmission fluid, etc., etc. So
yeah, you're flying blind basically in terms of your website. Yeah, you
don't know
not
what's going fly on. Blind, no. People. Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Digital Marketing Made Simple podcast. This is where we take everything difficult about digital marketing and make it simple for you to apply to your business or career. And I am your host, Rob Pacinelli, co-founder of The Best Media, and I'm joined by
Falcom, the project manager here at The Best Media.
Woo!
And take it away, Rob. What are we talking about today?
Yes, so this is episode 3. We are continuing our podcast series about the website hierarchy of needs. So originally, episode 1, we talked about the hierarchy and we went over all the steps. Episode 2, we talked about the first functional level, the base of the pyramid. Today, we are going to talk about the reliability, folks. So this is the second from the bottom level phase, whatever you want to call it, and reliability. So what does this have to deal with? Good design, updated features of the website, content management solutions, the platforms, analytics, multi-device, etc. So these are the highlights of what we're going to be talking about today, my friend. And let's get into this. Good design. Good design.
I mean, hey, we could fill 3 podcasts about. We could make an entire podcast show. Okay, good website design 2020. Maybe we should do that one.
Yeah.
But hey, let's try and talk about how do we even start with good design.
Yeah.
What does that mean in 2020 for a website?
You know, and again, we can take so many different angles to this because design is always changing. But I like to refer to Tony Robbins' phrase, something I like to use all the time. Dave, my business partner, likes to use this as well. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So where am I getting to? Simple design is always going to outperform complex, complicated designs. Mm-hmm. Why is that? I'll tell you why. We have an attention span today of 3 to 5 seconds for our online audience. So if we don't let that user know what the website is about within that 3 to 5 seconds, we lost them. They're on your competitor's website. Yeah. And it's not good for your business. So that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's really something that we've learned in terms of consumer behavior over the years, right? If we give our users a complicated design, it confuses them. We see this in the grocery store. If we have 7 different brands of soup to choose from, right, we get analysis paralysis. So good design. Good design is simple
paralysis.
Design.
I like that. Oh boy.
We don't know what we're gonna pick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so simple design. So we want to keep our content slim. That's a good one, right? We want to not bore our audience with paragraphs upon paragraphs of content.
And there are places on your website where that should take place. You know, I'll give you a good example. Let's say you have like a tutorial section, talking about maybe how to use WordPress or, how to create a simple website design from scratch. Mm-hmm. So this is where you get into the longer types of content, etc. And that makes sense. But, keeping it minimal is ideal today because when we start to overload the user, especially with text, you're going to lose them. No one wants to read today. They want to see lots of white space. So I remember back in, I'm not even sure how many years we're going back, probably 2010 time, more or less, give or take. Web 2.0 type designs, and all of a sudden the use of white space, and Apple started coming to market with all these great designs where they were very minimal, product-focused designs, lots of white space in the background, and that started the trend for, I guess, the minimalistic type of design approach. And it continues today still. So you'll often see websites with lots of white space and you're wondering, there's so much real estate that can be used up here. But it is a strategic design option and it's done intentionally. And it really allows the user to focus on what what the item is there, that
Yeah.
we're trying to talk about. So whether it's a product, whether it's a service,
Yeah.
concept, whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
whatever it is, right? The white space around that content is going to be highlighting that content. It's
Yeah.
like almost like a pause in music. A pause just is part of the music. Actually, pause is music too, right? Of a second or so. So white space is the translation of that into web design.
Pause
And
is music. I like that. I think we're going to start a band. Pause is
Pause.
music.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, you're going to listen to it, it's going to sound like this.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
everybody's going to be roaring applause. It's going to be people are wiping tears off their face. Yeah, with the beauty that they've just heard. Yeah, so exactly like you said, we want to keep it simple with lots of white space. And since we're talking about reliability, that comes together with design as well. We don't want to have a design that's unreliable, that's buggy. That's got windows jumping all over the place and little content boxes. I saw a video one time that Apple did on that, where they just talked about their perfectionism about animations. If you slide your thumb over the screen of your iPhone, everything is going to move 1 pixel or 2 pixels. Even if you kind of tilt your iPhone a little bit, things move in the background, Just it's so perfect in terms of the animation and the design. You'll never scroll on an iPhone and have a jittery animation or like images jumping. It's all super fluid, So that's what we're going for with design on our website as well.
Great example, folk. I love that. Excellent example. And in addition to that, having a simple design works, but I also suggest unique. Let's get creative now with it. And again, sticking to simple design approaches, keeping it unique. We're talking about, in my opinion, is the smallest details, like Falk was mentioning, that 1 to 2 pixel kind of movement that the iPhone intentionally put in there to allow for that superior user experience. Same goes with your designs. In order to make it unique, simple, and creative at the same time, that can totally be done. And oftentimes it's the less that, the more you do, the worse it is. It's kind of like, you just add a little tweak, maybe a little arrow here, or just a little something to make it unique, to give it your own flavor, your own brand, your own personality, right? Yeah. So keep your designs simple, keep them unique, and you will be rocking.
Yeah, absolutely. Make a great impression, yeah.
Another thing about the design that I like to talk about is the technical aspect now. So yeah, we got a user friendliness aspect to it. So the designs are simple, unique, people are loving them. But from a technical perspective, I like to refer to w3c.org. So what the heck is that? If you've never heard of that before, it sounds like a little bit of a tongue twister, but W3C literally stands for the World Wide Web Consortium, and basically this is the main international standards organization for the World Wide Web. So it's a tongue twister, but basically all of the standards when it comes to websites are dictated by the W3C. So this is where everyone can stay consistent across the globe in terms of web designs and the technical aspects of web design. So if you're having any challenges, you don't know where to start, I would refer you to w3c.org, and it is literally that simple. They will you can literally read content on that website for days and weeks and still not even break the ice. So there's a wealth of information there. Anything you need to know regarding design from a technical aspect, you can refer to w3c.org. Now, let's see if you can remember that description. What does w3c.org stand for?
That's World Wide Web. Was it consortium?
Yes, sir.
Consortium.
You got it. See, this guy is a smart guy.
That was a lucky one, I was thinking it was conference, but I guessed right, yeah. Good. So we have a good design now, right?
Yeah, the last part, folk, before we move on, and I just want to go over the design.
Oh, lay it on me.
This has got to be the most assumed type of, this is standard. This is a must. you cannot create any designs that are not mobile friendly.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, in this day and age,
Actually, mobile first, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Not even only mobile friendly, mobile first.
And that's crazy, right? For me, working at an agency, I've seen that change over the years to mobile first means we're starting our design process and our development process on the mobile experience, actually first, on the phone experience first, and then we're building our desktop experience out from that. And that just creates a whole other experience in terms of user experience and user interface, yeah.
Why do you think you would go that route? Why would you not do it from the desktop version, then simplify it to the to the mobile version?
It's a great question, and it really depends on the business, right? If you're a business that is if your website is largely visited by other businesses, such as ours as an agency, we might want to go with desktop first. But mobile first makes sense for anybody who is connecting with the consumer, the end consumer who's looking on their phone, who's browsing in their living room or in the bathroom at work even. So any business who's looking for a connection to the direct consumer is looking for mobile first, largely because I think website traffic is now 70% mobile, I believe, right? 70% mobile. What was that? 80% of mobile traffic in 2020 is going to be video.
You got it.
Right? It's incredible. We've seen such a massive shift of internet traffic and users going to mobile. So it makes so much sense. Your design has to be at least mobile friendly now, at least mobile responsive now.
I'm smiling at the camera, guys.
Yeah, smiling at the camera. Should do that too, yeah. So you see my mug. So your design has to be mobile responsive, and you want to, now that it's going on 2020, you actually want to think about not just mobile responsive, but mobile first, even depending on your business.
I love it. I would say mobile first, second, and third.
Yeah, really.
That's how important it is.
Yeah.
And
hey man, wait 5-10 years, everybody's going to look at computers and laptops and think who would use that clunker? Right? Why would you use a clunker like that?
Have you ever heard of a Commodore 64? Anybody?
I have.
Yeah.
I remember that thing. Yeah.
So I was around when these actual computers came out.
Mm-hmm.
Commodore 64, baby. Look it up on the internet. You won't believe your eyes. You'll be thinking that you're back in the Stone Ages, but this is how computing started. And just like we look back on that, I agree with you, Falk. 5-10 years from now, maybe even less, they'll be looking back at our desktop system saying, "What the heck were they thinking? Why were they using that?"
Yeah.
I could see the future with 3D virtual. What are we calling them? Holographic type displays.
Websites, hey?
Yeah, there won't even be screens anymore.
Yeah.
Everything will be holographic display, I bet.
Yeah.
Just like Star Wars,
Yeah. Either that or we just pop on a pair of glasses, right?
Yeah.
Imagine like a pair of aviator sunglasses, except on the inside it's a screen.
You got it. They
Boom,
they already got it, right? The Google lenses and so on. So, totally on board with that.
That's the future, yeah.
So, we talked about the mobile friendliness, mobile first, and let's move on. So, what are the next things, Falk? We're talking about updated.
Yeah.
From a reliability perspective, is your website updated? Is it reliable from that aspect? So, what are some examples you can bring to the table here?
Oh, there's lots. I mean, we have the technical aspect, right? Like if your website is using a lot of plugins, for example, for e-commerce, for report generating, for email automation or something like that, you have to make sure that your plugins are updated. To make sure that your SSL certificates are all good.
Huge. We run into this, I wouldn't say daily, but very frequently here with our clients. And can you imagine? You have a beautiful website, it's performing well, all of a sudden one of your plugins are outdated and now your contact forms aren't working, as an example.
Yeah.
And you're not aware of this, and you continue to feed paid advertising dollars to bring traffic to your website. They're filling out these forms. These users are thinking the forms are getting to the business owners, and they're probably thinking, you know what, this business owner doesn't give a crap about me. They haven't got back to me. I'm moving on to their competition.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. So, that's huge. From a reliability perspective, making sure your plugins are updated, huge.
Yeah.
I would even go as far as saying, the content needs to be updated. So, one of my biggest pet peeves is when you go to a website and then they have, events from 2015, and
Yeah.
we're nearing the end of 2019 now, so doesn't reflect well. So yeah, that business is probably doing really well where they don't even need to update their events anymore. However,
They
this
could
was
always be doing better, right?
yeah, there you go.
And they're talking about how they need to be updating the calendar probably every week in their meetings. You know,
got it,
oh, we
yeah.
need to do this, we need to do this, but nobody has time, right? But it's
And-
important.
And I fell victim to this myself many times,
Yeah.
in my 18 years. So absolutely this happens. Probably will even continue to happen again to us in the future. So we need to stay on top of that and ensure that we have as much updated content on our site as much as possible. The reliability perspective, making sure your website, I'm going to give you a scenario that has happened to one of our clients. So we were working on a SEO project for a client that does tax rebates for large businesses. So they do it for multi-residential units, they do it for industrial properties and commercial properties. So long story short, we're working on this project. It's a 6-month commitment. We're 3 months into it, and all of a sudden, all of the on-page meta tags were wiped out, and they reverted to basically the WordPress default. So this is something we went through, 4 or 5 years ago, and what happened was, all of a sudden, we're 3 to 4 months into this SEO project. There was a significant drop in traffic. All of the keywords that we were working to optimize, started going in reverse. We're basically losing rankings. Couldn't figure out what the heck was happening. All of a sudden, when we checked the most basic, technicals of the website, the meta tags were wiped out, and these were all, reverted back to the default. So, if you understand SEO, the meta tags on any website will play a significant, massive, major role in a website's SEO. So having that all wiped out, basically at the 3 to 4 month stage, completely reversed all of the SEO juice and power and influence that we were giving it, and we literally had to start from scratch. And because this was our fault, it really had nothing to do with the client. We did not ensure the reliability of the website meta tags, and therefore we had to restart the SEO campaign. And we actually lost money on that project. I believe that, if this is our fault, the client should not have to face any consequences. We assumed all financial consequences there. We restarted as SEO, and not only did we, lose that money, we had to accelerate our work because we tried to catch up to where we were supposed to be in the first place. So, just a good example, a little story that I can share with you of how your on page needs to always be on point. If not, you're going to get screwed. So, reliability when it comes to your web meta tags, huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what happened there? How they all got wiped out?
Still a mystery to me.
Wow,
Still a mystery.
Yeah.
And I literally have worked with thousands of WordPress websites. This has never happened before.
Yeah.
So potentially someone hacked it and did that on purpose. But
honestly, Rob, the first thing that I was thinking was that the client logged in.
It's possible. It's possible.
It's
but
honestly what I thought.
if I recollect properly, I don't even think he had the login for it. So it was one of those where we were completely responsible for that.
Yeah.
So that's that part. Next what do we got? We're talking
We've got
about
the CMS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
CMS.
It's a good segue actually, since we were talking about plugins earlier. It's kind of in the same same ballpark, right? With WordPress.
What does CMS stand for?
That would be the Content Management System.
System, that's right. I always say content management solution, but system, I think they kind of mean the same thing. So
I always confuse that one with the CRM, the Customer Relationship Management tool. And then there's the ERP, the Enterprise Resource Planning tool. And then there's what's Salesforce called again? No, that's a CRM as well. Yeah. There's so many of those, honestly, especially in marketing, right?
There's too many acronyms. I always say the FUK acronym. You know what that one is?
Right.
But yeah, the content management system. There we go. I was almost going to say it again. What's the most popular content management system out there?
It's got something with it's something about pressing words, isn't it? I forget.
Very
It's like
close, very
pressing,
close.
Pressing, pushing words. Was it? Was it word push?
Close, yeah. We're there, almost. WordPress,
WordPress.
baby. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
WordPress by far the most popular,
Yeah.
most efficient, I would think.
Yeah. And why do people, because I remember from my career in marketing, when this first started coming up, why is WordPress so successful, so popular? Why do so many people want to work with WordPress? Because 5-10 years ago, when you started making websites, or you've been doing this for 15 years, for me not so long, our clients were saying, like, can we update this ourselves? Can we add our own content? Can we change this paragraph? Can we change this heading? Can I change my contact info? And in the past, they would always have to go to the web developer, even to get the most minimal stuff done, right? So then WordPress came around, and now the agency can tell their clients, look, you can do this yourself too.
You got it. And I think it's a mix of WordPress came out at the right time. They provided, and they were listening to their audience. So they gave their audience the user power to do whatever they wanted to do, which are the simple changes on their website, add pictures, change content, etc. And they made it open source. They made it free for everyone to install. So if you're not familiar with WordPress, anybody out there can literally install WordPress and start their own WordPress website. The plugins also allow for scalability to no end.
Yeah, it's incredible what you can
do.
Do
if you want to do e-commerce, there's an e-commerce plugin to basically help you to get there much faster, more efficiently. Let's say
like a free version of Shopify almost.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. WooCommerce, one of the most popular e-commerce plugins to use. We've used that many times. For SEO, another great example. Yoast, one of the most popular SEO plugins. Very powerful. If you don't know anything about SEO and you don't know anything about websites, all you need to do is get a WordPress-based website, install this Yoast SEO plugin, and literally just follow the steps that it gives you, and you're literally 75% of the way there.
Yeah. This is great value advice right here. Listeners, do exactly what Rob just said. Do not go to Wix. It's not going to be as good of an SEO experience compared to WordPress. Wix might allow you to set up your website in 1 minute or 2 minutes, but I read this one comment on the internet one time that burned itself into my memory. It goes, "Friends don't let friends use Wix." I will not let my friends use Wix. Yeah, they've got they've got a bad rep online for that. And actually, it's so funny. We got a sales call here from Wix maybe like 2 weeks or so ago, where a rep from Wix was contacting us, and she was on the entire sales call on the defensive, just telling me about how, in the past we were terrible with SEO, but that's better now. In the past we were terrible with this, that's better now. So the whole sales call was basically about how Wix is crap, but they're hopefully doing better now. So, let's hope for the best. So WordPress and Yoast, that's going to be our recommendation here for sure.
Huge, totally agree. Yep.
Yes. Goody. So beside WordPress, WordPress is the big one, right? And that's what everybody wants to work with. That's what all the agencies work with because all the clients want that.
Yep.
Do we have any other CMS platforms, or what's an alternative if we don't want to use a CMS? Because we can also custom build things, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
So now there are so many page builders out there. ClickFunnels, one of the most popular page builders, and it actually bundles a lot of other aspects in there as well. So ClickFunnels is a great option. Instapages, Lead Pages, and we could probably sit here and go through a long list of page builders, and definitely use the reputable ones out there. Any of the ones I mentioned, they're all great, and they will help you to create those web pages efficiently and using good, solid design that has been tested already. So definitely, if you're not using a page builder, start using one today.
Yeah. 100%.
And this will even save you money paying an actual web designer to create pages you can do yourself through these page builders. And you can do a half-assed good job even if you don't have any design experience. So
it's certainly a good option for like any business that has maybe 1 to 3 employees or so, right? If you're just starting out, and you're not getting a lot of orders, it's a good start. For your
Absolutely. And, in terms of other platforms, a great example is when you need to do e-commerce. So e-commerce can be handled with WordPress, with a WooCommerce plugin like I talked about. But now let's scale up to high volume e-commerce. Let's say you have hundreds or thousands of products in your catalog and you're selling, tens of thousands of products a day, meaning you have a high volume of transactions. WordPress is not your option. WordPress is a simple option to be used. If you're making sales here and there but not in high volume, go to WordPress. But let's say you're doing a lot of volume. Definitely you need to use a more reliable platform like Magento. Magento will give you the stability and reliability you need to do those high volume e-commerce transactions by the minute, by the hour, etc., and scale up to literally tens of thousands of products in your catalog without sacrificing any performance. So yeah, Magento's another good example of an e-commerce platform you'd want to use when you get to that level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was great for anybody who's got some more orders coming in, because I know we had this one client. I remember it's a industrial food processor, to not get too specific here, and they were going up in their e-commerce system from 3,000 orders processing at the same time to over 9,000 within a half a year. So their workload and their system tripled, which is just incredible, So it can definitely happen, and happens to a lot of businesses, yeah.
Exactly. And don't wait until it's too late, because what happens oftentimes is clients will figure, it's still working well, but they're not planning for the future. So once orders start crashing, once customers are calling and saying, I can't place orders online by the masses, it's already way too late. Why? Because you're creating a bad user experience. Bad user experiences will get promoted much more than good user experiences, and you don't want that to happen. So pre-plan and make sure that you avoid that. So that's my strong recommendation there.
Definitely, because if the house is already on fire and now you're finally deciding to fix it, it's going to take time, because now you got to design, then you got to develop, you got to test.
Exactly.
Once you make that decision, it takes some time, right?
So what would be using that analogy of your house on fire, so in order to prevent your house from going on fire, what do we use?
A moat. You have to dig a moat around the house and fill it with water. No, I guess you fireproof your house.
Smoke alarms, right?
Yeah,
that's naturally what we use, right? So
I like the moat, to be honest. The smoke alarm works too. Yeah.
I don't know if a moat's gonna help. If the house is burning from the inside, if the fire started in the kitchen, the moat might not help too much, but
it'll help your neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. So
smoke detectors.
How would we use the analogy of a smoke detector to make sure that you understand where you are? And using Falk's example, that client was getting 3,000 orders at one point. They were fine. Everything was stable. Once they jumped up to triple, 9,000 orders, things started getting unstable. And there's ways to see this. So this is a great segue into our analytics part. So making sure you have good analytics on your website to understand how much traffic you're getting, how many sales you're getting in certain periods, and monitoring that growth is so crucial and important to your business. So making sure you have Google Analytics on your website is a must-have.
Yeah. Free
tool for you to use. Amazing data will be collected through this tool once it's set up properly, and you'll be able to see amazing information like, where are your users coming from? Are they coming from Google? Are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from Instagram? Are they coming from Instagram stories, etc.? You'll be able to see what locations your users are coming from. So if you are a boutique chocolatier here in Toronto and you're getting massive traffic from Zimbabwe and Africa, do you think that's going to be relevant? No.
Probably not. It's probably some prince that wants to send you a whole bunch of money.
Make sure you reply to that email because that money will be coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's important to understand where geographically your users are coming from. other demographics like age, gender, etc. They're all available through analytics. And then behavior. Behavior is so important. Some of the top behavior things that I like to look out for are, what are the top exit pages? What page or pages are the majority of your users leaving your website from? This will often indicate to you there's a problem there. And this, these are not usually just one or two. There's usually significant issues. If a lot of the volume of your users are leaving from one specific page, you got to analyze the crap out of that, figure out what's wrong with it, and fix that.
And what would we do there? What we could do, for example, is usually we'd go on a page like that and we'd see, oh wow, that's a huge wall of text, no images, and no call to action. So they're finding themselves on that page, they're seeing a huge wall of text, and they're getting no actions that seem attractive to them, right? Like calling or leaving the info or something, or clicking on something more interesting on the page, right?
Remember, we got that 3 to 5 seconds, and this isn't just for the homepage. This is literally for every page of your website. So there's a reason a user's clicking on pages on your website, so we need to satisfy that reason for them within that 3 to 5 seconds. And let's see.
We're going over analytics.
And
you were
even
saying
top entry pages. You want to understand what pages or what landing pages are the majority of your users coming into your website from. It's not always the home page. And oftentimes, if you're doing good content, for example, you have a blog that's constantly producing good quality, even if it's not constantly, I take that back actually. As long as you have a blog and you're putting content out there, you will find that majority won't get that traction, won't get that traffic. But all of a sudden, you put a piece of content out there, and it's ranking well for certain keywords that you didn't even plan to do. This is maybe done by accident, but you'll understand that majority of the traffic's coming and landing on that one page. So definitely so critical to understand your analytics, to make sure you're reviewing it regularly. It's almost like looking at the diagnostics of your car. If anybody drives here, not having Google Analytics would be like blindly not looking at your odometer. So you have no idea when your next oil change is. You have no idea if you should be changing your brakes. You have no idea of many other things, changing your transmission fluid, etc., etc. So
you're flying blind basically in terms of your website. You
do
don't know
not
what's going
fly
on.
blind, people. Open your eyes and add Google Analytics if you don't have it today.
And of course, Google Analytics also tracks conversions. Right? So it's super important to see when somebody, like Rob said, what's their entry page? Did they come through a Facebook ad to a certain page on your website? And then we want to track them all the way through to actually leaving the information or calling in.
And just from a marketing perspective, imagine you're spending, it doesn't even matter how much. Let's say you have 3 different advertising campaigns running at the same time. And you want to understand how much ROI are you making from each? How many sales have you made from your Google ads? How many sales have you made from your Facebook ads? How many sales have you made organically? Analytics will deliver all of that to you. There is a little bit of a setup that you need to do in order to create all of that data for you efficiently. But once it's set up, it's, literally the most amazing information you could collect, because at the end of these campaigns, you're able to literally create a cost per acquisition from each tactic. So each new client is costing you $21.35 from Facebook ads, as an example. And then you can make that decision to say, is this profitable? Should I continue? And should I even amplify my budget, right? So Google Analytics will give you all of that, and it's a free tool, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah,
you have to. It's really no question there.
And if you're going to install Google Analytics, might as well install your Google Search Console at the same time. Used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. Google Search Console, very important. It will set the stage up for the next level in the hierarchy and really help you do your SEO. So the amount of effort involved to install Google Analytics, same amount for your Google Search Console. Might as well do both at once.
Definitely.
And I think we've covered a lot here today. Jeffrey, you have anything to add?
Jeffrey, I think I heard him snore in the background there. I think I heard
You got the more than good enough content here.
All right.
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think so, 3.
You know, one thing earlier, since we were talking about this one ex-client, one client of ours mentioning the 3,000 orders a month going up to 9,000 and then everything kind of slowing down and crashing. I imagine a lot of our audience are wondering, why would a system work with 3,000 but then have issues with 9,000? That's something that I would wonder, and I know that a lot of our prospective clients would wonder that as well. And the answer is pretty simple. When the database got that big, processing time started taking from 1 second to about 2 to 3 seconds. And that was exactly the cutoff that the payment provider had for their payments, right? So if the customer clicks submit and then it takes 2 to 3 seconds for any connection to happen, guess what? The connection gets interrupted, cut off, not happening. So suddenly, orders were failing left and right. So just wanted to add that in because I thought it was a neat little detail. And I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Awesome addition. And I'm going to put one more point on top of that.
Yeah.
One more cherry for the pie. So, excuse me. In terms of the database increasing, I would also add in that the number of orders being placed at the same time is also increasing, because now instead of 3,000 potential customers ordering at the same time, you have 9,000. So again, it just amplifies the issues Falk brought to our attention here even further. So there is a strict cutoff point where, you know, performance will be extremely affected. So definitely something you need to keep your eye on. And honestly, I love those problems or issues because that means your business is growing.
Yeah.
These are exciting problems to solve and tackle. I hope you can get to that point, because that really means you're doing some really good work online. Your customer base is growing. Your revenue obviously is growing. And there's nothing more than I wish for you to have that happen. So this is what we're trying to do here with this Digital Marketing Made Simple podcast. Give you the tools that you need to succeed in this digital world today, because it is often confusing and overwhelming. There's so much going on, so many new things happening all the time. And we're here to make that simple for you.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media. If you found any value, share this with your friends and associates as well.
Exactly.
And,
let us know what you think. Comment, right? Send us an email, call in, make fun of us. Let us know what you don't like. Let us know what you like.
No problem. And I'd love to hear your funny comments for sure.
Exactly.
And what's my last point? No, I don't have a last point.
No last points today?
So basically, this is the show where we take what's difficult and confusing with your digital marketing, and we strive to make it simple so you can apply it to your business or career today.
Sounds good.
Awesome,
Episode
guys.
3 out.
See you later. Bye-bye now. See you next time, episode 4. Peace.
Awesome. We are cutting.